In Abia State, in Umuahia, in West Africa. Every now and then we bring to you a show that emphasizes on critical issues that impacts on the people of Abia State. As you know, we have shown and we have had interviews with many commissioners, but this particular commissioner comes with a long CV. Will take you 10 days just to read it. And she has some support, major supports here in Abia State. The Commissioner for Women's Affairs, I will let her tell you why her name is Brown. Don't ask me. But Madame Brown, welcome to NigerianTVOnline.com.
Thank you very much.
Now you can clap. Thank you. This is the Commissioner for Women's Affairs for the whole state. Now, mind you that Abia State, in terms of population, the women far outnumber the men. Correct?
Correct.
Please tell the world who you are, Madam Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Chief Obidike Ajuluchuku. I am Lady Chinedu Brown, the Honorable Commissioner for Women Affairs in Abia State, Nigeria, West Africa. Well, I am now a political appointee, but before this appointment, I was a permanent secretary in the State Planning Commission, where we did planning for the states, drawing a blueprint for the states, telling the states which direction to follow, and from there I was appointed a commissioner to the Ministry of Women Affairs, where I am now trying to lead Abia women on the path of development.
Wonderful. This is a very powerful person before us. Madam Commissioner, the questions that have been brought to us by many people are many. Some of them are very sensitive questions, but I am sure that you are up to the task. How do you help this governor? Governor T.A. Ajuluchuku of Abia State has a vision for women empowerment. He has a mission. Can you tell us how your office can assist this governor in meeting that vision and mission?
Yeah, I would like to give you a little background to the vision of Governor T.A. Ajuluchuku for Abia women. If you know a little bit of the political history so far, Governor T.A. Ajuluchuku, while he was still campaigning to be governor of the state, was in a kind of political detention. And while he was there, the wife, Chief Mrs. Mercy Odochi Oji, marched out with Abia women fully in force to ensure that we get him to be the governor of Abia State.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
You will be aware too that he came out of that detention just about 2 days to voting time. So all the campaigning, all that was done, all the work was done to convince not just the women of Abia, but the entire Abia that Oji is the man to lead Abia forward, was done by that lady and Abia women. And so when he was sworn in as governor, when he eventually won and was sworn in as governor, Chief Oji now realized that Abia women have to take #1 position in whatever plan he's making.
Oh.
Not just because we are women and you have to do something for women, but he realized that Abia women have the stuff, have the drive, have the vision, and they have a mission to lead Abia forward. And so that is why he's giving Abia women a pride of place. And we are happy to say that Chief Mrs. Mercy Odochi Oji, we call her the Deborah of our times.
The liberator of our time.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Amazon.
Imagine that.
Yes.
Abians in the world, watch
Yes.
it.
Yes.
You have a liberator.
Yes.
In this time.
Yes.
Wonderful.
We call her the Amazon. You know the Amazon women. They are women fighters. And then somebody leads them on to war.
Sometimes
so
women are in trouble. We men are in trouble with Amazon.
Well, you can understand.
And we understand.
We are in trouble and we win in the end. Ooh. And that was what happened. And so that is just giving you a little background to why Dear Oji is out to do the most he can for Abia women. Because he knows that if Abia women are empowered, Abia will move forward. I'm not saying that the men are not there. The men are there, they've been working, but with the women, there is a touch. And that is what he wants to explore to the fullest. So
and that is what you want to do.
So that is why I am in that place, coming from the Planning Commission, where we have dealt with development plans, how to develop a nation. He knows that if that all that we practice, they can be brought to the Ministry of Women Affairs, and the women can be at the head of planning for the development of the state, that Abia will leap, not just move. So that's why I'm in the Ministry of Women Affairs.
This is fantastic, and I think everybody knows. Women rights in this state. Do women have the same rights as the men of Abia? Or is there some cultural disparity between the two?
Thank you, Chief. You know, this is Igbo land, and there have always been very serious cultural disparity in Igbo land between the men and the women. Long before now, you will find that a typical Igbo family would prefer to send the boys to school and have the woman stay in the house, do the chores, help the mother, do the cooking and all that. And though we are a long way away from that time, but that stereotype is still there.
It's still there.
You also find that it hasn't quite left our culture. You find out that the women don't have a right to inheritance, land inheritance. You find that a widow in some parts of Abia does not have a right to inheriting her husband's property when he dies. And so the children of the widow and the man, maybe they've suffered together to make up a family, and the man now dies, and the woman is left to scrap to keep the children alive. So those things are still there in parts of Igbo land. Right now in Abia State, the House of Assembly is making every effort to pass a bill for a law to accord all these rights to the widow, to the woman. But it's one thing to pass a law and one thing to get the people to keep to the law. So those things are there, and they are part of the problems that we have. Because for a woman farmer to be able to get land to do her farm work is a kind of an uphill task.
If you had an opportunity to talk to the legislators now, right now, can you look in that camera and tell the legislators what the women of Abia State want in reference to that law and as it affects the inheritance?
Yes, the women of Abia. Actually, we've had cause to go and talk to them together with our lawyers, who we call the Federation of Women Lawyers. And we told the legislators point blank that this is one law that Abia women will not do any other form of lobbying except presenting our case as it is. Because the legislators, they have wives, they have children, they have daughters. And whatever you now do in favor of this law, you're doing it for your own wife. Because it could be you tomorrow. Your wife could be the widow tomorrow. And your sister could be the widow tomorrow. And if your little daughter becomes a widow tomorrow, and because she's lost her husband, she is now stripped of every right in her husband's home, you, the man, will not be happy. And so we have told the legislators in no simple terms, in very strong terms, that we want this law in Abia State, because enough is enough.
Madam Commissioner, you and the women of Abia State really want to change this culture in a very strong way. I commend you. This is what needs to be done. This is modern times. And we like to have everything, but let's be frank about it. Who can't have it all?
Yes,
right?
the world is for you and us. So we are not going to
us
have
thing,
everything. Exactly, we will.
Let me ask you, do you get any support from non-government agencies anywhere from the world that will help women of Abia in your endeavors? NGOs. There are many NGOs that we know that are looking for some place that they can help.
Thank you very much. That is part of our problem. As I'm talking to you, we don't have any NGOs from outside of Nigeria supporting us in the Ministry of Women Affairs. In fact, the people we call the FIDA, Federation of Women Lawyers, who are out to help support women who can't afford to get somebody to take their matters to court. They need all sorts of facilities. Nobody pays them. It's something that they do. It's a voluntary effort. But for them to be able to do these things, they have to have things like offices, vehicles, funds to move around, funds to do things that they must have to do. But as I'm telling you, there is no single NGO working with us in the Ministry of Women Affairs. And we need this NGO support, because the NGOs have the advantage because they don't owe any allegiance, so to say, to any government. So they are free to say what they feel and what they want, and they are free to do what they want to do.
Are there some NGOs that you have in mind, or that you've made any attempt to contact, or you're planning to do that?
Yeah, I'm planning to do that, but so far I have tried to reach out to UNIFEM, the United Nations Fund for Women, but they too are restricted in that they apply funds that they are given by others, and they don't have all that money. But there are so many other NGOs out there, and when you go to northern parts of Nigeria, you find all these NGOs swarming over themselves to work with the women. So at times I tend to wonder, why don't we have them in this part of the country? Because we need them. Because the women here have a focus, they have a vision, and they have a direction. And we could do with all the support that these NGOs can give us. So we want them to come, because there is so much to be done for our women, and we are ready for them.
Would you ask the NGOs of the world to come?
That's what I have just said. We want them to come, because we are prepared, we have a plan. Like if you look at this premises where we are now, this is a skills acquisition center for the women. But you can see the facilities are still very much below standard. And this is just one in a state that has about 4 million people population. A state with 17 local governments. And some local governments are as far as 3 miles drive to the headquarters. So if we are going to give some skill training to women, for us to expect a rural woman to drive 3 hours away to the headquarters to acquire a skill, it's not possible. So we want to replicate this skills acquisition center in all the 17 local governments, so that our women will find it easy to acquire skills and get empowered. So there is so much to be done. We want the NGOs to come.
Well, I'm hearing you loud and clear, and I think the world is also hearing you.
Yeah.
Before we go on commercial break, education and women in Abia State. Are you working closely with the Commissioner of Education in order to improve this education, or the lack of, or the not as much of, the educational disparity between men and boys. You know, that is such a mind-boggling to me, because you don't see that around the world. And I don't understand why it's here. Why should women be less educated than men? You don't see that. But here, it appears to be prevalent. Are you working close enough with the Commissioner of Education to change that?
Yeah, we are working closely with the Ministry of Education. Right now, the women, you see, that's why I say that the Abia women have a focus. Even the young girls are making all the efforts to get themselves educated at all costs. You will even find that in some of our schools, we are now having more girls than the boys. Mm-hmm. The boys are now going into trade, business to make quick money. But the women realize that where the future lies is in education. And the women are pursuing this education.
And they're pursuing it
Yes, but they are pursuing it, but the handicap is still there, because some of them are coming from very, very poor families, and they have to go to school in the morning, come back trying to do one thing or the other to be able to afford money, a meal for the day, money for books, money for uniform, and these things are kind of distracting for the girl who needs to get to school, concentrate, do her studies, and get out of school. So these are all areas that we're asking
in your
for
commission.
help.
In your commission, do you have? There must be some history of some successes of somebody who needs some help from your commission, from this commissioner. Can you give us an example of any woman who's had some need, wanting of help, that your commission have been able to support?
There are so many. You see, those women, there are women who are in hospitals and they get discharged and they can't afford to pay their bills and they get stuck there and they bring the report to us and we send this report to Her Excellency, Mrs. Mercy Odochoji. Over the last Christmas, she was able to discharge well over 15 women who have stayed in the hospital for close to a month, 2 months, 3 months, because they couldn't pay their bills. And there are women too who are into business and they want a form of help by way of microfinance to be able to continue with the trade. And we take those women to her, and immediately she rallies around, gives support, and is able to fund those women. So these are things that when it comes to the ministry, and we think at the level of the ministry, due to our funding problem, we can't handle, we push it up to her. And as soon as it goes up to her, she pushes it up to His Excellency, the problems are solved. So
it's a done deal.
It's a done deal.
It's a done deal. I like to hear that.
The number is unlimited. Young women, girls, even as I was stepping up for this interview, there is a young lady who has a quadruplex. That is for you know what I mean?
Yeah, she has 4 kids.
So this woman and the husband, they are jobless. But Her Excellency has undertaken to offer a job to at least the man, so that he can have a means of livelihood to support her
those 4 kids
while she's taking care of the 4 kids.
Thank God
and
for
these
that.
are things that we are doing.
Thank God
and
for
the
that.
number is unlimited, but we could do more.
You can do more.
We could do more.
And you will do more.
And we will do more.
I like that. I like that. You know, as you folks in cyberspace world continue to watch this, this is history in the making. This is innovation. This is something different. This is something new. A small state like Abia is calling on your help. We're going to ask the Commissioner what kind of help she needs from Abians who are now living outside of outside of here, outside of Abia. Correct?
Yes. Sure.
Abians who are living outside of Abia.
Right.
There are many of them.
Too many.
They are rich.
Yes.
They've got money. They're educated. So when we come back, I want to know from them, on this Commissioner, what she can do to bring you Abians who are outside of here back home. This is Chief Obidike Ajuluchuku. We'll be right back.